Chapter 8 Trust old horses to know the way.
老马识途。从古代起，世界各地就已经有人认识到马具有超人的方向感，并且很好地利用了这种知识。马的这个特点在中国文化里更是通过一个成语故事而流传千古。春秋时代，公元前770到476年，虽然中原大地上的诸侯国名义上还在周王朝的统治之下，但诸侯之间实际上已经开始相互割据争霸。当时齐桓公公元前685到643年在位，是诸侯各国公认的一位仁慈的老大哥。公元前679年，齐桓公召集各诸侯会盟，就像在今天的联合国安理会一样，诸侯各国都宣誓帮助弱小的诸侯，共同抵御外族入侵。那个时候，北方的诸侯国，尤其是燕国，常常受到来自北方山戎游牧民族的骚扰。这些山戎包括不同的部落，经常侵犯北方诸侯国，抢夺粮食、牲畜和财物，有时候甚至劫持良家妇女和壮丁。公元前663年，山戎又一次侵犯燕国，所以燕国就请求齐桓公出兵攻打山戎。齐桓公亲自带领大军出征北方，打算彻底消灭。齐桓公的军队到了燕国的时候，山戎已经逃往北方去了。对齐桓公来说，一个不利的因素是他们的军队不熟悉北方的地形。燕王就告诉齐桓公，邻近的吴中国原来也是一个山戎部落，但是已不依附山戎，可以请他们做向导。于是齐军、燕军和吴中国军就联合起来，一路往北追杀逃跑到孤竹国的山戎了。孤竹国有一个十分狡诈的将领，名叫黄花。为了让齐桓公相信他要投降并效忠于齐国，黄花杀了山戎部落的一个头领，提着他的头颅去见了齐桓公，谎称要帮助齐桓公抓捕孤竹国的头领。齐桓公很高兴，就带着军队跟着黄花进了一个叫做迷谷的地方。据说误入迷谷的人从来没有活着出去的。齐国军队在茫茫的迷谷里走了一会儿，就彻底迷路了，而黄花早就带着自己的人逃跑了。在这个关键时刻，聪明的宰相管仲想起来军队里有一些从吴中国来的马，应该了解这里的地形，所以就建议齐桓公让那些马来带路。果然，没过多久，这些马就把大军带出了迷谷。走出迷谷的齐国大军追杀到孤竹国。孤竹国头领和黄花怎么都没有想到齐国军队能从迷谷里死里逃生。最后孤竹国头领被抓，齐桓公亲自砍了他的头，而黄花也战死了。山戎最终在公元前660年被彻底消灭了。
The proverb in modern usage. China calls back an old horse who knows the way for U.S.-China trade talks.
识途的老马加入中美贸易谈判。作为当今世界上最大的两个经济体，中美两国在经济贸易上的往来不断加深，贸易规模也日益扩大，而两国间的贸易摩擦也在加剧。 特朗普在2017年当上美国总统后，在中美贸易问题上采取了更加强硬的态度，中美双方随之展开了漫长而艰巨的谈判。双方在一些问题上存在的分歧，使谈判陷入僵局。2019年4月，中国驻联合国日内瓦办事处大使于建华被调回了北京，加入了中美贸易谈判中方团队。据报道，于建华与美国官员和世界贸易组织进行过28年的贸易谈判，被认为是最令人生畏，并与美国打过交道的最精明的中国贸易官员之一。随后，中美贸易谈判出现了突破，在2020年1月，双方终于签署了第一阶段的经贸协议。
This is the end of chapter.
Trust old horses to know the way. Many cultures in the ancient world had a knowledge of the superior sense of direction of horses. Some cultures made good use of this wisdom, but it was the Chinese who immortalized it in a proverb. During the spring and autumn period, 770 to 476 BCE, feudal states in China's heartland were under the titular rule of the Zhou dynasty, although they were beginning to assert their autonomy and engage in infighting. King Huan of Qi reigned 685 to 643 BCE, was recognized as a benevolent elder brother by the other states. In 679 BCE, he convened a United Nations-like conference wherein all the states pledged to support the weaker members and defend them against foreign invasions. At this time, one of the northern states, Yan, was plagued by raids from non-Chinese nomadic people from the north, called the Shanrong. These people, who were from various tribes, frequently raided the northern states in the alliance for grain, livestock and other valuables, even abducting women and able-bodied men. In 663 BCE, Yan was again attacked by the Shanrong and sought aid from King Huan of Qi. True to his word, King Huan mounted a military campaign with the intention of eradicating the rogue Shanrong tribes once and for all. But by the time his army reached the state of Yan, the Shanrong had fled further north. Although King Huan wanted to pursue them, his army had one serious handicap: they were unfamiliar with the terrain. The king of Yan, however, informed King Huan that the neighboring state of Wuzhong was originally a Shanrong tribe but now no longer allied themselves with the Shanrong, so they could be asked to act as guides. Thus the armies of Qi, Yan and Wuzhong joined forces and together gave chase to the Shanrong, who fled to the Shanrong territory of Guzhou. Guzhou had an extremely wily and treacherous general, by the name of Yellow Flower, who managed to trick King Huan into believing that he was surrendering and switching his allegiance to the king. He did this by beheading the chief of another Shanrong tribe and presenting the head to King Huan. Moreover, he declared that he was ready to help King Huan capture the chief of Guzhou. King Huan was delighted and he followed Yellow Flower into a forbidding desert called Lost Valley. It was said that no outsider who ventured into this territory ever came out alive. Sure enough, soon after King Huan's troops entered Lost Valley, they became totally lost, and Yellow Flower and his troops were nowhere to be found. At this critical moment, the wise minister Guanzhong remembered that some of the horses were from the former Shanrong state of Wuzhong, and he surmised that these horses knew the terrain. So he proposed to King Huan that they let these horses lead the way. Much to everyone's surprise, the Wuzhong horses soon led them out of Lost Valley. Having escaped from Lost Valley, King Huan and his troops quickly attacked the state of Guizhou. The chief of Guizhou and his general Yellow Flower never imagined that King Huan's troops would emerge alive from that death trap. In the end, the chief was captured and beheaded at King Huan's own hands, and Yellow Flower died in battle. The Shanrong threat was totally eliminated by 660 BCE. China calls back an old horse who knows the way for U.S.-China trade talks. In recent years, trade between U.S. and China, the two largest economies in the world today, grew exponentially and their economies became increasingly intertwined. Concurrently, trade friction between the two nations has also intensified. After Trump became the U.S. president. In 2017, the U.S. veered toward an increasingly hard line on trade issues with China, forcing the two nations to engage in prolonged and arduous negotiations. Before long, the persistent disputes pitched the negotiations into a deadlock. In April of 2019, Yu Jianhua, China's ambassador to the United Nations offices in Geneva, was called back to Beijing to join the Chinese team in U.S. China trade talks. Ambassador Yu, a 28-year veteran of trade talks with American officials and at the World Trade Organization, has a stellar track record of dealing with the U.S. and is widely recognized as one of China's most formidable trade negotiators. With his participation, a small breakthrough in the deadlock took place, and in January of 2020, the two sides were finally brought together to sign the first phase of a trade agreement.